If your child seems to understand everything, like they know what a lot of words mean and they're pretty good at following directions, but they're just not using words yet themselves, then generally speaking, they're probably in a good place to start using words themselves. And there are just a few shifts that you can make in your interactions with them in order to help them start talking more.
Welcome to Gab and Grow. My name is Gabrielle, and as a pediatric speech-language pathologist, I want to help you help your child connect with you and the world around them to grow into the person they are truly meant to be by nurturing their speech, language, and learning. The best therapy begins with you, so I hope you learn something new and consider subscribing.
So in order for you to understand how to help them, you need to know that language, or the words that we use, are broken into two different categories. There's receptive language, which is their understanding, and there's expressive language, which is how we actually use words to communicate. So because you're watching this video, I can assume that your child has good receptive language or understanding of words that are said to them. They just need to work on their expressive language or their actual use of words themselves. And when I talk about language, I'm not just talking about spoken words. I'm talking about baby signs, even gestures, anything that we do that is not speaking, that communicates something to your child, or that your child does to communicate something to you. So this includes things like pointing, even reaching sometimes, and then also those more intentional gestures and clear baby signs that they might use. So if your child is making baby signs, or if there's anything they do like a gesture or an action that communicates something to you, that's an expressive language skill that should be built upon to help them say words. It's just really important that you recognize this, because sometimes if we overlook it, then we may not draw as much attention to it. And when we draw attention to those things they do, it makes them do it more and more and build their expressive language skills into saying words. So when you engage with your child this week, I want you to think about, what is your child doing to communicate something to you, whether it's something they want or something that they don't want. And just so that you know what to expect, a child that is 1 year old will be able to say about 1 to 10 words. And then a child that is 2 years old on average will be able to say 50 words, and they start putting 2 words together at this age. This doesn't mean that the words will sound correct, but it's just that you know that that's the word that your child is trying to say because they say it the same way every time. I have a complete free roadmap on communication from birth to 5 years old so that you know exactly what to expect down in the description below. So here are some tips for your child who understands everything, but they're not yet talking. Tip number 1 is that you need to stop mind reading. That's right. You need to stop reading their mind. So the reason that you want to do this is because you want to give them more reasons to communicate with you. If you are always putting what you know they want and need right in front of them to where they don't have to do anything at all to communicate with you, then they're just not having as many opportunities throughout the day to build on their communication skills. You don't want to frustrate them. You don't want to create this pressured situation where you're withholding something until they say or do something. But it's just that you're creating a window of opportunity by sort of playing dumb a little bit and not reading their mind. And in that time, you're giving them the opportunity to do something to communicate with you, whether it's a facial expression or an action like reaching or pointing, or even trying a baby sign or making a sound. It may not be the word for what they want, but even just turning on their voice, that is communication. And that's a skill that they can build upon and develop into saying words. So try to reduce mind reading a little bit throughout the day and see how this works. The next time you're going to give them something, just stop and allow that opportunity for them to do something, anything, for you to give them what they want in that moment. A way that you can do this is at mealtime, for example, when you have their snack, maybe just put it on the counter where you can both see it and you just stop. And you wait for them to look at you and look at the snack and look at you and look at the snack and maybe reach for it. And in that opportunity, you can say, "Oh, you want your snack." Or you can specifically label what it is you're giving them. And that's a way that they've communicated just something, anything with you in order to get what they need and want. And depending on your child's level, you can make it a little bit more challenging for them. The second tip sort of goes hand in hand with the first one, and it is to pause and wait. Children have a slower processing speed than we do, and sometimes it takes longer for them to process what you're showing them and telling them and to understand it, their receptive language, and also to respond to you, whether it's just with an action or gesture or with a word or sound itself. So for example, if you are playing with a ball with them and you're holding it and you know they want it, you can model the word for them. So you're going to repeat the word ball several times. And then you're also going to pause and wait for them to have an opportunity to say it too. This pause and wait tip is extremely helpful in what we call verbal routines. And these are just phrases that your child is familiar with and they would understand so that they can try to say the word that comes at the end, such as ready, set, go, or pika, boo, or 1, 2, 3. Pause and wait to give them time to do something. The reason I'm saying to do something is because sometimes parents are just more specific about what they're expecting. If you say pika, you expect them to say boo, right? And you want them to say boo. And they don't always do that. And that's okay. The point is that they just need to do something in order to build on their communication skills. So don't be disappointed if they don't say or do exactly what you want them to in a moment, but instead reward them with some positive energy, some positive words, or just acknowledging and recognizing, responding to their attempt for saying something. So let's use that example. And if you say pika and they just say, say that's right, pika boo, but pause and wait for them to do something to respond to you and to communicate with you. If you try this a few times and it doesn't work, then please don't think, okay, this girl has no idea what she's talking about. Try it again and again and again, because children do need several learning opportunities in order to pick up a new skill. Okay, the third tip in trying to help your child that understands but doesn't yet talk to talk more is to offer them choices. So this is just a very natural way in your daily routine that you can try to help them say something to you. So if there's just sort of like a blank moment where you're modeling a word and you're hoping that they're going to repeat it, that's not always the most effective way. But a more natural way that you can try to draw out that communication from them is to offer them two choices. Let's say you have the ball and then you also have a book. They are going to have to choose one in order to keep the play going and to keep the exchange going. So in that way, it's just very natural. So they might point to one with their finger. And then in that case, you can say, oh, you want the ball. Ball, here you go. So they didn't particularly say a word, but they still communicated with you. Or if they're just kind of looking at both, but they're not quite picking one, then that's okay. You can just pick one for them and say, let's pick the ball. Ball. But in that moment, you did so much teaching and you gave them so many opportunities to build their communication skills. You gave them the two choices. You modeled the words for both. You gave them wait time. You modeled choosing one and giving it to them. So I just always like to reemphasize that when a child isn't talking yet, it's not because they don't want to, but it's because they need to learn. And that's why as speech therapists, we're always talking about modeling and repeating and giving opportunities to them to communicate. And that's because they need that. They need us to teach them and they need to learn. And that's why we want to say it over and over again. It's in those moments that they're learning, they're picking it up. Sometimes they just need several times to learn it before they're going to do it themselves. So just be patient with them, and all throughout the week, give them two choices for things. Make it very clear. Put them up to your face so that they're looking at your face and your mouth as you show them the word, and help them learn how to make a choice. And while they're doing that, they're working on their communication skills, building up to saying words. Okay, so my final tip for you about this is to avoid pressure. I mentioned this earlier in the video, but it is so important to avoid putting pressure and demands on your little one. There's a fine line because you don't want to read their mind and you do want to allow for some wait time and motivate them to communicate and say words. But at the same time, when you're putting a lot of pressure and demanding them to say words, it has the opposite effect. and sort of makes them turn away from that whole communication thing. So I know we all do it. We say mama, say dada, say ball, say book, say baby, but we're not going to do that. Okay, just trust me on this. We're going to model the words for them, and we're going to give them some ways to help them actually say the word without telling them to say the word. You can avoid that pressure by using those phrases that I mentioned that have the word at the end. A really easy phrase to use that can apply to any word is just, oh, you want the ball. So model that for them again and again so that they know what to expect and they become familiar with that phrase and they've learned the word and what it means, so that eventually maybe they will make a sound at the end of the phrase trying to say that word, or they might even say the word correctly. So you can say, you want the ball. And over time, just allow more and more wait time for them to say something at the end of the phrase. You can also give the two choices to help them naturally say the word rather than telling them to say it. The point is just to ask yourself if you are helping your little one by teaching them and showing them and modeling for them the words and demonstrating to them that it's fun by making it playful and interactive and engaging. Or are you sort of making saying words something that's more frustrating for both of you, not just for your child, but for you as well? And maybe to shift those interactions that you have with them to avoid pressure. Most children have started saying their first words between 12 and 18 months. So if you have concerns, then please reach out or contact someone in your local community. But for now, try these tips at home and let me know how it goes down in the comments. Don't forget to get your free roadmap of communication from birth to 5 years old so that you know exactly what to expect all the way up until the point that your child is entering kindergarten. If you liked this video, then please consider subscribing so that I can help more families just like yours.